This episode is brought to you by FX's Love Story, John F. Kennedy Jr. and Carolyn Bessette. Join host Evan Ross Katz on the official podcast for FX's new series, Love Story, John F. Kennedy Jr. and Carolyn Bessette, and go behind the scenes with cast and special guests, featuring Sarah Pigeon, Paul Anthony Kelly, Grace Gummer, and Naomi Watts. FX's Love Story, John F. Kennedy Jr. and Carolyn Bessette, wherever you listen to podcasts.
Or some of us aren't ready for some people in our lives that go on to the next, hey Ray, that move on to the next life. Sometimes we're not ready for them to leave. We're not prepared. Even though some of us actually did have time to prepare, but you're never really prepared to lose someone predominant in your life or a staple in the community. Reverend Jesse Jackson made a huge impact on our community, and we thank him for everything that he's done. You know, I really, honestly, I'm wondering now, which one of us are going to take the initiative to be in a leader position, to lead our people the right way? And I'm not just talking about Black people. I'm just talking about people in general that don't want to conform to the fuckery. There's more people now that's out, alive, that's here, that want to fight for the cause more than people that don't. And I mean, they're starting a list, so we got to be careful what we say online. But that doesn't stop the movement. That doesn't stop the standing in the front line, standing on the front line. That shouldn't stop. Just because they say, hey, you can't say this and this and that on social media. It doesn't have to be social media that you're doing, standing up, doing the cause for. You don't have to just be using social media. You can actually use your voice. You can actually go places, peacefully protest, make a stand, organize. I'm just saying, you said you so over the fuckery. It's so much fuckery. Now they changing everything. You can't even freedom of speech anymore. Now they're watching you. Now they're adding you to a list if you say certain things out of your mouth. Now they are basically putting us back in prison. Y'all think that y'all have never been to prison? Well, this is a little taste of it, because this is a prison. We are in a United States of America prison. This is DOC right now. We are being told what to do, how to speak, what to say, what not to say. And then there's people that's literally out here just to listen to what you're saying, just to document it. So they might not even be a genuine person in your life. They might just be there just to get information. Again, losing anybody is hard. It's tough, especially when you're not ready for it, especially when they are a staple in your life. So, my heart goes out to the whole family. Anybody that we lost here lately, we've been losing a lot of people. People have been dying left and right. Kids, there's been shootings still at schools, still. It's like, what do we do? So who is going to step up? And I know y'all probably like, you should step. I've been stepping up too. Like, it has to be more than just you. It has to be more than just me. It has to be more than just you. It has to be all of us. So how many more is going to come step up? How many more is going to, put themselves on the front line for what's right? How many more of us are going to say, you know what? I'm done with the fuckery. Let's stand up and let's make something happen. I'm just saying. Ugh, I know I keep saying this year is the year of the fire horse. It is, because what will the fire horse year bring for you? Or is it the wild horse? Yeah, no, it's one of them. But listen, what will it bring to you? We've noticed that a lot of people that have been in our lives are not here any longer. They're not. For whatever reason. It could be some people don't want to grow. It could be you don't want to grow. It could be you don't want to apologize, or just a simple mistake, or a simple misunderstanding, and a lot of friendships end because of pride. Sometimes, Ken might be too prideful to say, hey, Janelle, you know what? You was right. I actually fucked up. I was saying to my wife earlier, people have to really stop being sneaky and thinking that you can do and say things behind people's back. And then whenever they catch wind of it and they address you or approach you about it, you were sneaky enough to say it. How come you can't be real enough that because a lot of people say that they real, how come you can't be real enough to just come out and say, you know what? I did say that, your breath stink, or I did say that your hair looks bad all the time, or, I did say, well, I know they said it like that, but I said this. They put a little bit of extra on it. I mean, however you want, but a lot of times we just say things because it sounds good. Like, I'm going to stand on business no matter what. It sounds good to say it, doesn't it? I'm going to stand on 10 toes because that's who I am. It sounded so good just now saying it. But it means nothing if you're literally not standing on 10 toes. If you're literally not, it means nothing. It's just words. I just seen a post earlier today that said talk is cheap. Well, in prison it's different because, talking isn't really cheap because all you have is your word, and your word comes from talking, right? Okay. But talk could be cheap if you're saying that you're real, if you're saying that you're going to stand on 10 toes and you don't. Well, what you're saying is cheap. It ain't worth nothing. So that's right. Talk is cheap. It's crazy. But, just be prepared to back up what you say. Be prepared to stand on those 10 of toes that you said that you would do. For instance, if I said, Ken, I don't really fuck with you, but I didn't say it to you. I said it to somebody else. And then somebody came back and was like, Ken, you really should just, kind of really just stop hanging out with her because she really don't fuck with you, And then you come up to me and you say, well, damn, Janelle, I really thought that you fucked with me. Like, you made me believe that you did. And honestly, like, even if you don't fuck with me no more, I just really want to know why. Can I know that? Like, regardless if we wasn't in a sexual relationship, can't we, get closure from a relationship that's non-sexual? So, like, I want to know why you said that. I want to know what the reason that you went behind my back and did that for. So, I can either, one, because my wife told me nobody has to admit to anything. They could just lie all they want. It doesn't matter. Nobody has to. And I was like, well, what about honor? She was like, okay, and what about, yeah, because it's true. Like, what about honor? Does people not have honor anymore? No. That's why a lot of people don't have some of the same friends, because there's no more honor. Like, people aren't honoring the word friendship, honoring the word loyalty, honoring the word trust. So if if Ken is telling me, hey, Janelle, I really want closure. Like, even like I said, we don't even have to be friends no more. But I just want to know why you said these things behind my back. Like I said, I can either one, say, you know what, Ken, I don't have to tell you. Or I can say, Ken, you know what? Honestly, I don't want to stop being your friend. I just, in a moment, I was being a fucked up individual, and I truly apologize. Now, you don't have to trust me off the bat anymore, because I said some fucked up shit behind your back. And whatever you heard that I said it. I apologize. That was stupid of me. Do you forgive me? I don't want to stop being your friend. We can do that. Like, why can't we just, so, okay. I gave y'all that scenario. Well, one time, I had a friend that I didn't used to be her friend. But we ended up being friends later on down the line. And so she asked me, she said, have you ever talked about me? And I was like, no. Off the rip, I said no because I couldn't think of a time that I did. And so life was going on. And then I went back and I was looking at some messages. And I was like, oh, my God, I did talk about her. And so I hit her up and I'm like, hey, we need to talk, So I'm telling her, I'm like, yo, you remember that time when you asked me if I talked about you? And I told you no? I said, whoa, I lied. But I didn't realize I lied. I said, I did talk about you, and this is what I said. Or it was something, something, something. And, we discussed it. We talked about it. But as adults, we did. She didn't say, I don't want to fuck with you no more because you said this back in the past. She listened to me. And, I was fucked up. You said you don't feel closure is necessary. Okay, that's cool. And that's what my wife was just saying. She said it's really not. People don't have to tell you why they were talking about you. They don't have to admit to even talking about you. They don't even have to be the real person that they said that they portray to be to other people. To you, they can continue to be fake, and no one would ever fucking know. No one. Because nobody gonna believe them because they always real to them. You said because the action is the closure. Yes, I agree. I do agree with that too. It is. Now, let me ask you this. How many friends, family, and just relationships in general have you lost in the last 5 to 10 years? And like I said earlier, it could be from losing friendships, relationships, from death, because a lot of times we aren't brave enough or strong enough to tell our friends to stop going overboard with drinking. And we know that it could be harming them. And we see them getting sick. We're not brave enough to stop them from drinking and driving, but we say we love them. Sometimes that can be a way to lose a friendship too, because now they gone. Now they got to go get help. You didn't help them get there, but they got there. And in the midst of them getting that help in that rehab, they might realize that the friends that was around them wasn't really their friends, because a real friend is not going to let you drink and drive. A real friend is not going to, they're going to start thinking like that. And then, it's not that you was trying to not be a real friend. You did the best that you could, with how or how you've learned. But if you never knew to be brave enough to be that person to hold your friends accountable, it's not going to come easy. It's not going to come naturally. It's not going to come without making you sound like you trying to be their mama. You don't want to sound like you being their mama. You just want to be their friend. And sometimes y'all feel like holding a friend accountable is not being a friend, but it's being a very good friend. If I'm around my friend and I know that she's drinking excessively, hey, friend, let me drive you. Let me get you home. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's just the type of person I am. I'm not into, because I've been that person that was drinking and driving before. I did that before. I totaled my whole car, and I was like, oh my gosh, like, and there's no excuse that I was depressed, and I was, but still, that's no excuse. There should be no excuse ever. So anytime I see it happen, I'm like, yo, don't be afraid to hold your friends accountable, even if it makes it hard to be around them now, because sometimes they look at you like, I had a friend that, first of all, I have a wife. So that means I'm gay. Okay? So I had a friend that every time, she would come around me, she would tell me, how her son is doing, but the way she would say it is like a whole nother person, because I talked to her son. And, he came out of the closet to me, and I was just like talking to her, like, hey, maybe you should try to make it easier for him to talk to you. And she got mad at me. Like, you're not a mother. You would never know. Salam. Yeah. How you doing? But, it was, you're not a mother. You would never understand. And I'm not a mother, but I understand. I used to be a kid, and I remember growing up, my father used to try to beat the gay out of me. So if I know that a child is coming to me, telling me this, and telling me that they don't feel comfortable with their mom, and I'm trying to talk to their mom in a kid's perspective, but also in a friend's perspective, like, hey, friend, maybe you should kind of, what I really said was, you don't make it easy for him to talk to you. And she tried to tell me that she did, and I'm like, no, you don't. I'm telling you that you don't. Maybe you should try another way of coming. And she was like, never mind. I'm not even finna listen to you because you ain't got no kids, and we're not friends anymore to this day. Which I'm fine with that, but it comes to, sometimes it's hard when you hold somebody accountable and they get defensive. And it's hard whenever they get defensive and you automatically like to get combative and defensive too. Sometimes you got a slick mouth too. So if they talking crazy, you want to talk crazy. So sometimes you got to humble yourself and just let them talk crazy because they're offended with being held accountable. He said, my mom tried to kidnap me as an 18-year-old and force me into a conversation therapy. Oh, wow. He said, I end those kind of situations. Yeah. Wow, Ken, wow. We can't be forced into anything. Once you forced into something, you're going to shut down. I know I did. Conversation therapy is that when everybody was around you? That is wild. That is so wild. So, friendships, relationships, and even relationships with family, they don't last always. As much as we want and we hold on and we try to keep them, the only person or thing that is going to make you hold on to someone or a relationship, something that you've let go in the past, the only one that's going to do that is Facebook. Facebook will never let you let go of shit. I promise you. I don't give a fuck. You try to delete a picture off your Facebook page, and guess what? The motherfucker is still there. Yeah. Facebook, you really got me fucked up with that, because how can we move on, but Facebook never moves on? How is that? How in the fuck can I put everything else in the archives in Instagram, TikTok, but Facebook? No. Memories and memories of bullshit. Some of them memories I'm trying to get rid of. Imagine that you changed your whole life and you are a pastor now, and you like, back in the day I was wild. You got pictures of you busting it open, smoking, all type of shit. And you start, doing your ministry, and you're like, you know what? You thinking that you're deleting these pictures. You go in, you push delete on all of them. It even gives you a confirmation that it deleted. Then you carrying on with life, and all of a sudden you didn't realize Facebook didn't let it go. They're not going to let you live down your past. They're not going to let you live down a relationship that you don't have any longer. Facebook is going to keep a hold of it. They're going to etch it in your mind. Okay? They're going to make you want to start a new page. I kid you not. If you want to move on, good. You're going to have to build a whole new Facebook. Because Facebook is not letting it go. They not. And I hate it for them. It pisses me off sometimes. I'm like, damn, I know I deleted that picture last year. Like, what's happening? Why are you still there? Why? Sometimes when you lose a relationship that prematurely ended, you'll know it. You'll feel that loss every day. And like I said, some of us are too prideful to even go back and be like, yo, I really still want to be your friend. I don't know how the fuck it ended up like this, but it ended up like this. Sometimes accountability will take you a longer way than just being like, I don't even want to deal with it. Your pride is going to get you in some fucked up positions. You're going to lose a lot of people, a lot of jobs, a lot of relationships, a lot of family. You might even lose the relationship with your kids if you can't put your pride to the side. What is more important to you? Is it being prideful and not backing down from what you said or is it humbling yourself and apologizing for hurting someone? When you get your feelings hurt, don't you want to be apologized to? How do you fix your feelings getting hurt? If your feelings get hurt, what do you want to fix it? An apology, a sincere apology, right? If you're not getting that, then guess what? If you don't get that, then guess what? You wouldn't even be around nobody no more. I don't want to see you. I don't want to hear you. I don't give a fuck how long we've been knowing each other. Everybody is quick to get rid of a relationship, but nobody is quick to fix one that was broken. Nobody is quick to fix a relationship that they either broke or the other person broke. They don't. They would rather die. They would rather die miserable because y'all lost some good friendships, a lot of you. I didn't lose not one good friendship. I lost a good relationship. Well, I didn't even know if it was a good relationship or not, honestly. It was gone, though. Bye. Years and years down the journey. We got to come to grips when we lose them. Some of them aren't meant to be fixed, mended, or run it back. Some things ain't meant to be ran back. But you'll know the ones that are meant to be ran back. There's some friendships that for years and years I didn't speak to them, and then now we're friends now. And honestly, I think the more mature we are, and that's the better it is, because when you mature, you look at friendships and relationships and life a little bit different. You appreciate things a little bit more. You're not focused on the childish things that you were focused on growing up, because we were focused on some childish ass shit. Like, for real. You know, like, I remember growing up, this is random as fuck, but in middle school, oh my gosh, this is so random. But the boys was in the gym, and I remember they was in a circle, and I'm like, what are they doing? Like, and they were like comparing whose pubic hairs was the longest. And I'm like people compare things like that? I know that was random as fuck, but don't lose a friendship that you can measure your pubic hairs with over something stupid when you can just go get it back. If it's meant to come back, it's going to come back around. Period. Period. It doesn't matter what you went through with someone. Let me ask y'all this. You know, for the ones that come back and rewatch this episode. For the ones who have been sexually assaulted, could you forgive your rapist if they admitted to what they did to you and apologized? If they said, you know what, I apologize for what I did to you. What I did to you was wrong. I raped you. I should have never did that. I was sick. I was this. I was that. And genuinely apologize. Could you forgive? And I mean, I'm not saying forget, but could you genuinely forgive? Could you heal better if you were apologized to by someone you were sexually assaulted by or physically assaulted by? Could you heal better if they apologize for their role in who you are today? The part that hurts you, that gives you flashbacks, that part. If they apologize genuinely for the part that they played in your trauma, could you genuinely forgive? Could you? I'm not saying forgive them and be their best friend. I'm saying that if the person that assaulted you came to you and apologized from the bottom of their heart, could you forgive them? Could you move past it? What if you went the route of them getting arrested and they didn't? They didn't do any time, or if they did, they only did a little bit of time, but when they got out, they found you. Would you be offended that they found you? Would you be offended that they're reaching out to you? Or would you accept their apology and move on? And what would that do for your mental health and for your life? What would that do for you if you heard your rapist or the person that physically assaulted you or your parents that abused you all your life, if you heard them out of their mouth genuinely apologize? Would it even help you in your healing? Would it? I know for me, recently, someone in my life that tried to rape me, they sent me a message apologizing. And for a moment, you said no because I don't want to hear it now. And for a moment, I was just like, I don't know how I feel. And then after that moment passed, I knew how I felt. and then I blocked them. But at first I was like, is it doing something for me? I don't know. I don't really believe that an apology can be genuine coming through a text message. I'm sorry. I believe that, telling someone genuinely that you apologize to their face, just like you offended them, or hurt them, you was bold enough to do that. You have to be bold enough to take accountability and apologize. Now, I'm not saying that I want my rapist to get a hold of me. I'm not. I did what I did. No regrets. I did my time. And you survived. Just be lucky. There's nothing we need to talk about. So, my answer for that question would probably be different than your answer. Because I went to prison for shooting a man and raping me, and it wasn't. I think what kind of pisses me off the most about it is, like, y'all knew what this motherfucker did, and y'all still gave me time. Even if it was, you can't tell someone when to push back a flashback if a flashback come up. It just came up. I didn't expect the flashback to come up, but it did, and I took matters into my own hands because I see that the system doesn't work for us. So, would I accept his apology? For me? Thank you. Thank you so much. I don't know. That's hard for me. I'm curious to know what you all, what your answers would be in the comments. I'm going to make this the reel. So, if you see this reel pop up on your feed, answer the question. Answer honestly. Even if it's a no. Like, I'm not mad at a no. I'm not. Even if it's a yes, I'm not condemning a yes either. I just want to know. Let's get to know each other, couch potatoes. I love y'all so much. It's the Couch Chronicles, where it ain't no fucking limits. I will be back on the couch tomorrow morning at 9:30 a.m. Central Time. And then Thursday, we got Bri DeVille. She's going to be on the couch. And then Friday morning, we got G. So I will see you guys on the couch in the morning, 9:30 a.m. Central Time. Don't forget. Yes. Period. Let me make sure I follow you.